Hello, church. Wanted to check in with you about our housing work here at St. Jude's. First, though, a quick note. The last time I made a video, I let you know about COVID in our family. We're still dealing with that, but things are getting better and progress is being made. Wellness is coming back to our family, which is a wonderful thing. I hope that you are staying well as well. But to the point of this video, I want to talk with you about housing. A few months ago, I mentioned that our vestry has commissioned a housing working group to begin looking at what housing might look like here at St. Jude. So let me kind of explain it all. I tried to draw it all out here on the whiteboard, so bear with me. Let's go through this one at a time. So housing at St. Jude's, what does that mean? Well, first of all, it means both clergy housing, rectory, housing for the rector and the rector's family, but also hopefully other clergy as well, but also affordable housing. How do we as a faith community, as a church, how do we contribute to the housing crisis in our particular area here in Cupertino and here in the Bay Area? So what does that look like? Well, to deal with both of those things, our vestry commissioned a housing working group. That working group is made up of our senior warden, Judy Foote, vestry member Sarah Rizavi, vestry member Peter Troop, our former senior warden, Jennifer Sheeran, and a new member in our parish, J.R. Fruin. They have been working diligently over the last nearly 6 months now to do two things, to investigate and ideate. In other words, look at and research what could be done, what has been done in other parishes, in other settings, in other places around the Bay Area and beyond, and then to ideate, to think about what might be possible, to come up with ideas about what might happen here at St. Jude's around housing, again, for clergy, but also potentially for others who are in need of affordable housing. So the process of that, a lot of course has been going on kind of behind the scenes, but in June they presented to the vestry what they've learned so far, which is a lot. The vestry has given them the green light to go ahead and start consulting with architects, obviously not making any final decisions. We're way far from that, but to begin to get ideas, again, ideate, to get ideas of what might be possible here on our campus. We have been gifted with this wonderful resource of 3 acres here in Silicon Valley in Cupertino. How might we use this property, as St. Jude's always has, for the welfare of our community, for the beloved community to be a flourishing and vibrant place here in Cupertino? So what could that look like as it relates to housing? We need to get ideas. We need to begin to think about design and possibilities. We have some non-negotiables, of course. Our orchard is a key and important part of our identity as St. Jude's. There are no plans to pave over the thing or anything like that. Our sense of place is important to us here at St. Jude's. We want to maintain that. We want to maintain this sense of vitality and vibrancy that this place offers. I love the phrase that has been used to describe St. Jude's in the past, a spiritual oasis. How might this continue to be a spiritual oasis for those seeking healing, for those seeking shelter, and those in need? And how might it continue to be a place of worship, a place of vibrant faith for our congregation and beyond? So that work is just getting started. As we continue to learn more, in September, we will do a parish town hall on a Sunday where we will have an opportunity for the whole congregation to hear from our housing working group and from me as the rector, and to have questions and come up with ideas together, to engage in this sort of visioning process. What might the Spirit be calling us to in this moment, building on our history and our past, the heritage of what St. Jude's has been for 60 years? How might we bring that into the next 60 years of our life together? So that will all happen in September with a parish town hall. And then eventually by the end of this calendar year, it is my hope that our vestry will have enough information, will have received enough feedback from all of these sources, our parish, from outside consultants, from the investigation work that our housing working group has done to make a decision about what direction we might head for housing at St. Jude's, both in terms of clergy and affordable housing. Hopefully all that makes sense. Now, I want to take a little bit of a step backwards from all of that. That's kind of the nuts and the bolts, the process, the flow. Happy to answer any questions you might have, any concerns you might have about any of that. But I want to take a step back from all that and say, what is a theology of housing, and especially a theology of affordable housing? What does that mean? What could that look like for us? Well, for me, I think that really comes back to our baptismal covenant, the thing that we commit to whenever someone is baptized in our parish. Here's what the presider will say to the people gathered, the congregation. Will you seek and serve Christ in all persons, loving your neighbor as yourself? We answer emphatically, I will, with God's help. And then the presider will say, will you strive for justice and peace among all people, respecting the dignity of every human being? And again, emphatically we say, I will, with God's help. If we will, with God's help, what might that mean as a commitment in our baptismal covenant to a theology of housing? Well, it doesn't take much to understand that if someone is in desperate need of housing, if they can't afford to live even reasonably close to where they work, the church might have something that it can contribute about that. If folks are struggling just to get by, how might the church help with that? St. Jude's has had a long history of doing just that, with the helping of starting what became West Valley Community Services, with the work with Live Oak, with Safe Park, all of these ways that St. Jude's, it was Santa Maria, of course, all of these ways St. Jude's has time and again stepped up to helping those most vulnerable and in need in our society. Now, one of the most pressing needs here in the Bay Area is for affordable housing. So how might the church be engaged in that? How might our baptismal covenant, those commitments we make when we baptize people into our faith, how might they flow into our theology of housing? How might that help inform all of this work, all of what we are inspired to do by the Spirit as we move forward together? I hope that helps. I hope that gives some framing, some context for this work that we're doing. Obviously, I encourage you to reach out to any of these folks, reach out to myself. I would love to be in conversation with you about what housing might look like for clergy and for those in need here at St. Jude's. And we're in this together, and I look forward to doing it with you. All right, that's it for now. Peace to you.